Hey YouTube! So, I'm going to talk about switches. It's going to be quite interesting. And maybe the Coiladder switch, which I'm currently in. This one's called a Coiladder 25, but there's a Coiladder 15, and I'm thinking about something else, but I'll talk about that later. So, this is going to start off pretty basic, and I'm just going to ramble. So, we have a single coil pickup, right? This is a magnet. Well, it's a magnet stuck onto, in this case, it's a magnet stuck onto pieces of metal which are making it a one magnet with a wire wrapped around it. This is the start of the wire. This is the end of the wire. So this wire goes in, round it 5,000 times or whatever, and then out this wire. So that's basically all a pickup is. And then you put that to your output jack, either way around, and when you strum the string, it vibrates over it and changes the magnetic field, and then the amplifier amplifies that change in magnetic field to make it music. So that's basically how a single coil pickup works. This is getting pretty basic. Right, a humbucker pickup, as you can see, just kind of looks like two of these stuck together, because it's kind of like two of these stuck together. The way hum cancelling worked, this came out in the Les Paul, 1958 or 6 or whatever it is that the humbucker pickup was invented. The problem with single coils is they're very bright sounding, which is a good thing, but they also pick up interference. So if you imagine you've got your sine wave, if I was cleverer I could use the oscilloscope to demonstrate this, but I don't know how to do that. So you've got your sine wave, which is your sound wave. Well, it's picking up other frequencies as well, like from radio transmitters and light bulbs and all this sort of stuff, so you get like a wee on top of it. So what you do is, if you get another one of these, right, that's the opposite way around, which I do actually have an opposite way around one here, right, stick the two of them together. This pickups the same sound, or pretty much nearly the same sounds as this one is, because they're both kind of right next to each other. But this one, the magnet is upside down, and the coil has been, the wire has been wrapped, instead of being wrapped clockwise, it's wrapped anti-clockwise. So if you put the two of these together, right, and then run them in parallel, if you don't know what parallel is, it's like if you imagine it, the wire, you're starting here and ending here. Well, parallel is the wire comes up, splits into two, goes through the two pickups, comes out, then goes out. In series, it goes through one pickup first, and then comes out that pickup, goes into this pickup, out that pickup. So, but the principle of the hum cancelling thing works in both these situations. So they're both listening to the same sound, but one of them is completely reverse switch, showing you the whole thing in negative, right? But the trick is that even though it's a negative, it's still picking up the high frequency or the interference the correct way around, if you know what I mean, even though everyone else is backwards. So if you flip this up, make this backwards, it means that, and put the two of them together, you get both signals together at the same time, and they're now in sync, but now the interference isn't in sync anymore, so it gets cancelled out, so it cancels out the hum. So you end up with not getting the same interference when you're using two of these in parallel. If you put them in series, then it does that, but it also boosts it, so you end up with like boosting the mids in frequency, because you're now, instead of listening to the two pickups, going through the two pickups at the same time, you're going through one then the other, so it kind of boosts each other. Yeah, so that's pretty much what a humbucker is. So if you take one of these pickups, one of the single coils, it'll stick to one coil, it sticks to this one. So it's the same as this one, but it doesn't stick to this one. So it's not the same as this one, so this is the opposite wind and opposite polarity to this one. Yeah, all making sense? Right, so a coil split. So a normal humbucker in normal situation is wired in series, so if you imagine the two coils are going in one through the other one. So that's basically what you get a standard humbucker is wired that way. It's got two wires, and out and in goes in round one coil, then goes round the other coil the other way, and then comes out through the other wire. So there's your two wires. To coil split it, you can break the wire that joins the two coils together and stick a wire in there as well, which means that you can just turn off one of the coils basically. I've done coil split before, so get off that. The trick here, what I was thinking here was this Coiladder switch I've been messing about with for a couple of years. It probably first appeared on a Buckycaster. I've done a few different crazy things. I used to use two-way switches, and I decided I liked the three-way switch because you could always tell when it was off. Because with a two-way switch, you've either just got this or this, and it's like, right, this is where you have to, you kind of play the guitar, and then you click the switch to see whether it gets quieter or louder, so you know which way around it is. Whereas in the middle one, you just know middle is off, and that gives you two other options, so you can have whatever it is you're doing off, and then two options because you get a three-way switch. I like doing that, and I've been messing about with that a fair bit. Talking about sticking the two pickups together, my original thinking on this was I did a switch called, I egomaniacally called a Malco switch, which was a rotary switch which went in here. You just instead of having two tone controls, you just did one master tone. And what this is, when you've got normally this doesn't work with older guitars. I'll talk about it in a minute, but it works with most modern guitars. It's the same as that pickup. It's the same as that pickup. But this one, it doesn't stick to. Well, it does if you turn it upside down. But that's because it's so this one is reverse wound in a modern Strat. The reason for that being is when you're on one pickup, you get all the noise. But if you've got two on, like in positions 2 or 4, you are using the two of these in parallel, so it becomes hum cancelling. So if you've got like a modern Strat and you're having problems with interference, try using positions 2 and 4. Interference can be caused by anything. Sometimes it's bad electricity in the house, and sometimes it's dimmer switches and other electrical gear, you're too close to your computer or whatever. So that's the norm. This wasn't an original feature of a Strat because they didn't. Partly, I don't think they knew about the middle pickup, but also a Strat used to only come with 3 positions on the switch, so you can only listen to one pickup at a time. So it doesn't make any difference if this one's hum cancelling with this one, if you can only listen to one at a time anyway. So that's pretty standard. And eventually Fender did, I think something like 1980 or something like that, Fender started putting the 5-way switch in. You could always get it, Hendrix used to wedge it with like a matchstick or some chewing gum between the 2 positions to do the same thing. So that's a standard stratocaster. So the reason I was doing this trick with knocking the 2 of them into series, it meant you got like a humbucker that was made out of these 2 pickups, or a humbucker that was made out of these 2 pickups. And gradually, as I went through all the different bucky casters and stuff, I made it do lots of other things. I went through a stage of liking a triple bucker mode, which was you click the switch or whatever it was doing it, and in the bridge position, you just get the bridge pickup on its own. And then when you went to the middle position, you get these 2 wired as a humbucker, and when you went to the neck position, you get all 3 wired as one big humbucker. So you've got like forwards, backwards, forwards, all in series, big muddy, an awesome sound, especially for a lightweight cheapy Strat, which generally sound a bit thin normally. Well, Strats arguably sound thin anyway, but it makes it sound really chunky and fat. So that was one of the switches I was messing about with. And I've done others. But I wasn't the first to do that. I wasn't aware this, didn't have this, but I was already doing it before I'd seen this. So this is a Squire Bullet from 1983, I think it was. 1983. And it's got humbuckers. Sort of. What it's actually got is 2 single coil pickups in below a plastic cover, and they're both opposite winds, so it does technically have humbuckers, but it's actually got 4 single coils in it. And it's got push buttons which make them either single coils or humbuckers, which I thought was just cool anyway. So that's the sort of thing I would do to try and make a humbucker using bits. Also, I've got my monolith. This pickup here, which I can't actually get into because it's wax sealed in the bottom, it's got like epoxy in it so you can't see, but I think this is a P90 and a single coil together doing a similar sort of thing. This is 3 sounds, it's like ice pick, sledgehammer and cement mixer or something like that. They've called the 3 sounds, which are various ways of wiring the things together. But for this video, which I was going to, not quite got there yet, not that one, this one. This is quite a recent one. Every time I do this, I seem to end up managing to squeeze more sounds out of it. One I do remember is I had a Midnight Blue, which looked a bit purple, Squire Strat, which had the next level before this. It did a 3-way switch, which gave you, I think it did the triple bucker thing. You know, I was talking about knocking the 3 coils in series to make a triple bucker, and if you're in the middle, it didn't do anything. And then the other way, it gave you a Gilmore switch. A Gilmore switch, which I've talked about before, but it's like you just take the output of the neck pickup and you put it straight to the output of the switch, so that no matter what you do with the switch, the neck pickup's always on. You're sort of short circuiting it. But that means that if you're in the bridge position, it means you get the neck pickup and the bridge pickup together, which is a desirable sound. And if you put it into position 2, you get all 3 pickups on. So that, going through it, we're now onto this one. This one does have a three-way toggle switch. If you've got it in the middle, you've just got a Strat. If you push it forwards, it does that, the Gilmore switch thing. So you add in, you get your 5 sounds, and then you add in the neck and the bridge together, and all 3 together, so you end up with 7 sounds. And obviously I've put in this orange pickup, which shouldn't be there. One of the reasons I did that is because the original pickups in this are all a funny size, and if you look at these, this is, because it's old, they're all the same. So I can't do humbucker tricks to make a humbucker using the 3 original pickups. Also, I can't, a lot of these inventions come just because of the situation. You kind of just turn up and wing it. But because these pickups are a bit wider and a bit shorter than other pickups, I can't put, if I just stuck in a reverse wound one, it would look different and it wouldn't quite fit. I'd have to like expand it, it would kind of wobble in the hole. So what I did was I put in a reverse wound extra pickup. The idea being, well, I could just wire it straight into that, straight in series with this pickup, and just have a humbucker, an HSS Strat, which is fine. That's the way most people would do it. You could, basically all I'm doing is making a humbucker out of this and just wire it all in the same, and then you could put a coil split in it with a switch, so you could get like the Strat coil and then this is a humbucker. And then I started thinking, well, why? It seems like a bit of a waste to do that when instead of putting it in series with this pickup, so if this was a normal humbucker, it would be, when you're in the bridge position, you've got a humbucker. When you're in position 2, you've got humbucker and middle pickup. When you're in position 3, you're just normal, the 3 normal Strat sounds. I was thinking, I must be able to get more than that. And obviously, so you get 2 extra sounds with that, and that's assuming you've coil split it. Oh, it gets confusing. So basically my Coiladder system adds in an extra coil into the circuit. And in this guitar, what it does is it adds it in series with the 5-way switch. So the 5-way switch works as normal. It always selects the 5 normal positions you get with these pickups. It's just that if you're in the bridge pickup, it puts it in series with the orange one. If you're in the middle pickup, it puts the middle pickup in series with the orange one. So you end up with 5 distinct humbucker sounds using this extra coil. And if you turn it off, you've just got a Strat. So I was thinking that's pretty good, and it gets 12 sounds, and it's easy to judge when it's off because it's got the middle position as being off. So that's me adding in a single coil. On the same principle, you can make that pickup using other things. I was looking at this, this is quite a good demo of this particular situation. So here we've got, this guitar already had a hole in the middle, so it had to have, and I couldn't get a scratch plate for it, so I had to put something in the middle, so I put a humbucker in. And what I've done, instead of having switches, I've got push-pull pots. So when these are pulled up, it activates humbucker mode, but when they're down, it's just a Telecaster, so you get a 3-way switch, neck, both, bridge, nice and easy. And what this one does is it's got a humbucker in the middle, so when you pull up the bridge, the tone pot, it turns on this coil here, or whatever coil it is. Right, so it's not the same as these 2 coils aren't the same, so it is the same as that one. So that one there is now in series with this, which gives you a humbucker using these 2. And then if you turn on the other one, the neck one, it puts this one in series with this. So instead of having 2 single coil pickups, you get 2 humbuckers. So this humbucker never actually works as a humbucker on its own. It works as a humbucker in conjunction. Half of it is used with this pickup, half of it's used with this pickup. Just all these mad things. I've never seen that done before. Ways of thinking, bending my head round all different ways of doing it. This guitar here has basically, it's the same lineup, although this is actually a humbucker pickup. I'm not using it like a humbucker pickup. I've got this coil, which I think is the opposite wind one. Yep, so this coil doesn't stick. This whole guitar's. So it doesn't stick to this pickup, doesn't stick to this pickup, doesn't stick to this pickup, does stick to that one. So this one here is the added coil. So I've got this just wired up, so it's just a Strat, and then you can, now I've moved on from using the 3-way switch to using a 3-way lever, which I think I prefer. It's much, for somebody, I can just see it, and seems dead easy. That is single coil, and that's at position state 1 and state 2, it just seems easier that way. So when you put it into the middle, it adds in this coil with whatever you've selected on the 5-way switch, so you get the 5 humbucker sounds. If you go to, that's in that position, right? So in this position, instead of adding it in series, it adds it in parallel. So you get 5, it's the same 5 pickup selections, apart from everyone comes in with this in parallel, so you get like a sort of a hum cancelling sound, which will not have the interference. It'll not be quite as bright, as jangly as without it on, but it'll cut out the interference if you're having a problem with that. And then if you put it into the other one, it's humbucker mode, which will give you the boost, the mid boost. It will give you a much fatter sounding pickup. So I mean, it sounds confusing, doesn't it? You can tell I was going to do, but I've just realised I've got a dodgy volume pot, so I couldn't actually use it. This one here. So what we have here is a Strat. It's got the 3-way switch, which gives you, basically does the same as a 3-way lever on the one that's on my back. You've got just a Strat. You've got adding in this pickup in parallel to give you a hum cancelling 5 sounds, and then you add it in series to give you 5 humbucking sounds. What I did there was, this is a hot rail. Probably know what a hot rail is. You can pick these up if you want a simple upgrade to a guitar like this. You know, it's a £50 Gumtree job. You can pick up one of these hot rails for about £6, I think, from eBay in China, and they sound fantastic. You just slot it in, it just replaces. You do sometimes have to file away the edge of the pick guard a wee bit to make it fit, and that basically just sticks a humbucker in the bridge position of your Strat, making it more Iron Maiden. I bought some of these, and one of the coils was dead in one, and so I thought, why don't I use the coil that isn't dead? So this in behind there is actually a whole one of these that I took. One of the coil, I took the burst coil off and then just stuck the other one through the gap. I quite liked it. That's a good demonstration, because it's like, which coil did you add? That'll be the rare one, the real one, which looks funny. Yeah, so I do recommend hot rail pickups. This is quite interesting. I've kind of stolen this idea a wee bit from Josie Warman. He made a pickup called a G-rail, which is basically, it's basically this on a humbucker base plate. So you've got a humbucker and a single coil. The things you can do with that are, you can switch between the two, so you get a single coil, or you get the humbucker, or you can do there's a lot of things I could do with that, because you basically get a 3-coil pickup, and one of these coils will be reversed from the other two, so you could do lots of cheesy things with that. I do like those rail pickups. I went through a stage of putting rail pickups and everything, especially if you want, like I want to put switches in. But I went a bit mad with the switches at the start. If you look at my Marco Guitars Facebook page and just look at photos and go back, you'll see some ridiculous ones with tons of pickups put in it, and just, it's like a synthesizer to operate. This one, I feel I've kind of broken ground a little bit, and it not being that difficult to operate. It's hard, it sounds hard when I try and explain it, but on this one with the lever switch, which does the same as the toggle switch in that one, it's just not that difficult to understand. So you've got your 5 usual sounds, that's fine, and then each sound you've got 3 different options. You've got stratocaster, hum cancelling, and humbucking on any one of the positions. That's kind of all it is, which is fine. So that gives you that's the Coiladder 15 sound. So that's the Coiladder 12 sound. The Bucky, I keep saying Bucky. The Brew Van Halen one is 12 sounds. So you've got the 5 humbucker sounds, and then you've got the Dave Gilmour switch on it, and then you've got the original 5 for the Strat. And this one, I'm adding in, as you know, I'm adding in the extra coil in this. The other one would have been better because it's got the rail, which is different, but it's wired on the same way. It adds that in series and in parallel. If you reverse that round the way, it means the 2 pickups, you're going like this. When you're making your thing, you've got them both running, that's fine, series. If you flip one of them the other way around, the two of them fight against each other, which gives you really thin sounds. Also, when you're doing it in parallel mode, if you turn one of them round, it makes them fight against each other. So you end up with more options for wiring. So what I did was, because I've already got my 15 sounds all there in the bank, if I put another switch in this case it's in behind the tone control, it reverses this pickup. Basically all it does is just turn it round, so in becomes the out becomes the in. Now you've got, when you've got this button up, the 5 strat sounds don't change because none of them use this coil, but when you add it in parallel, you get this coil in parallel but out of phase with this one, with whatever you're doing, and then in this one you've got this pickup in series. So it's a humbucker, but it's a phased humbucker. So there's 5 parallel sounds, 5 parallel out of phase sounds, and 5 humbucker out of phase sounds. So that's how I got to the 25 sounds. The next one I'm thinking of, for that black Strat there, I will have to do some modifications. So what we're going to do is, as I said, because this has this pickup and this pickup are the same and this one's different, I am going to have to replace this middle pickup with one that's the same way around. So it'd be one like this, whatever this one is. I put that one in there. That gives me the 3 pickups that are all the same way around, and then I could use this one as the extra coil and stick it in here. I'm not sure exactly. I think I'll probably just do that. I was actually toying with the idea of using a telly pickup, thinking that could be quite fun. This is going to be a Buckycaster, so I use these for experiments. So I was thinking which one is it the same as? Right, it's the same as these two, so I would need to change these 2 pickups to be opposite when to do this. But I'm thinking if I put a telly pickup in, that would look pretty cool. But then I started thinking, what happens if I put the telly pickup there? So instead of getting bridge variant humbucker sounds, you would get neck variant humbucker sounds, which might be better, but it's worth a go anyway, to see what happens. So basically it would still be the same thing. You'd still just be adding in this coil and in parallel and in series, and possibly in phase and out of phase, and still get all the same sounds, apart from, instead of being bridge humbuckery, they would all be neck humbuckery, which would be an interesting way around it. I've not got far enough on that, but the thing I was thinking about on this one was, I had a heck of a time trying to do it. I like the on switches I've been using, which I used for the 12 sound one. Great, I can do that. I can't get the 15 sounds out an on switch. I have to have an on switch, which just looks the same, but it's wired slightly differently internally. They cost a £5 each, whereas the on-off-ons cost like 50 pence, so I was trying to get it done like that. That was where I come up with this idea of using the lever switch, the telly lever switch, because they're a couple of quid, so I've half the price of this mod by using this. Also, I think it looks cool because it's got the extra lever. The problem with this is it's a pig cutting a hole to put that in, to stick in like a wee toggle switch. You just drill a hole, stick the switch in, that's it. And this one you got to sit there and Dremel it out and try and line it up and try and make them fit. And it's annoying. It's impractical. That would be an expensive upgrade time wise. So I was thinking rotary switch. So I've got these rotary switches which I've used for many different things. They're 4-position. So I would just basically replace the middle tone control, just make this a master tone, put the 4-position in here, and then the positions would be just a strat, so it's not doing anything, and then position 2 would be adding it in and adding the extra coil in parallel, position 3 would be adding the extra coil in series. So that's me got my 15 sound Coiladder. There's another position. So what do I do with that other position? And it's like, I've got a couple of options. I could make it. I need to have a better listen to see which is more useful. The out of phase, because obviously I've got a bank of I've got another position in the switch, so I've got another 4-position, another option, another 5 sounds in the 4-position rotary. I'm sitting at 15 just now. So I could add in one of the phase ones So I could either just make it a humbucker that's got the phase reverse, or make it the parallel for the fourth notch in the rotary pot. So that would give me a 20 sound. I'd need to listen and try and work out which is a more useful sound, which is better. I mean, is it better having the... Well, right there. So there we are in... there's phased hum cancelling mode. Five very different sounds, has to be said. Or this be the same, but in humbucking. I'd be tempted to think it's the humbucking one, isn't it? As opposed to... Basically, just because it's louder. Because when you start getting really thin like that, it becomes a very thin. So that's very thin. In series, it's that loud. I mean, in phase. So I think humbucker is slightly louder. So I'd probably choose the 5 humbucker sounds. So on the rotary pot, on that guitar, I will put in. I meant to say the rotary pots are like £1.50 as well, so it's cheaper than this. Plus, all I need to do is widen the hole a little bit to take it, and then angle grind the top. It's much easier than trying to cut a hole for the 3-way. And it would just mean that you could just ignore it, have it set at series 1, and you've just got a Strat. Trying to make these things easier to understand rather than having to try and just have, you know, the fact that it does so many sounds is pure ridiculous, but the fact that it does so many sounds with just one lever is more ridiculous. Whereas if I get that other one, so that basically to get the 25 sounds out of this, I need a 3-way switch and a push-pull pot or another type of switch. Whereas with the rotary one, I would get 20 sounds with just the rotary pot. But after I was thinking about this in the shower this morning, I do have another option. I've got the rotary pot in here with the four banks in it. The tone pot, I can make that a push-pull, which does the reverse phase thing, right? So that would mean on the 4-position rotary pot, position 1, you've got your Strat. The phase wouldn't do anything. But in positions 2 and 3, when you've got the parallel and series, I would get the full 25 sounds out of this. This has, I'm basically just using the same sound and just reversing the phase of the added coil. That gives me another bank in the 4-way switch to do something else. So I should be able to get a 30 sound one using a 4-position rotary pot and a push-pull phase on either the volume or the tone control. It would depend which pot I found first. So I need to try and think about what other options I could possibly squeeze in to the 4-position rotary. We've already got so many. It's like I really try to think of. I don't think I'd be able to get 5 out of it, because that was the thing. The thing I like best about this is you've got your 3 states. Like if you ignore the phase thing, you've got your 3 states of each pickup, and then 5, and it's basically every single position is unique. So you get 15 different sounds. Whereas if you're using a Gilmore switch, which is basically, imagine all this isn't here, it's just a Strat, and you add in the neck pickup. In the bridge position, yes, that's a new sound. You've got the outside coils. In position 2, yes, that's a new sound. You've got this one and this one. You've got all 3 on. If you go into the middle position, suddenly that's just going to be these 2, which you already had without the Gilmore switch, and same with the neck position. And so these 3 switches, although they don't make any new. They don't make a new sound. They still make a sound. They just make the same as whether it wasn't in there. So you only get an extra 2. It's only positions 1 and 2 that actually do anything different when you've got the Gilmore switch on. Whereas in this one, you've got you get the full 15, which I really like. How I can think about wiring, and this is I need to sit there with a bit of paper and I have to try and work out what I can put into the other bank. But thinking for that guitar, the first Buckycaster, because it's an early one, I'll make that the 20 sound, so it'll have, the rotary position will have 1 Strat, 2 the parallel, 3 the series, 4 the series but out of phase. That'll be 20 sounds, all just with 1 extra knob. Another thing these have using up so many things all the time. These don't have normal tone controls. That's a normal tone control. This is a high pass, so it takes away the bass, which is quite annoying because actually being able to take away the bass would probably be really good if I had the pickup up here. Oh, see, thinking of this is just mental. So this was going to be a demo video of this guitar. It's not going to be a demo video of this guitar anymore. It's just going to be talking about the Coiladder switch and trying to think on the spot what I could make the other position do. So I've already got a Strat. You start thinking, can I put them all in series, or do I put... Would that one be a phase one? Could I reverse the phase? It would be a bit more complicated. But if I reverse the phase of these two, or reverse the phase of this one, if I reverse the phase of this one, it's already behind. It's expanding into different tangents. Because if that was phased and that one wasn't, you're going to get duplicates. But you know, I'm sure there's something I can do to squeeze another 5 sounds. But I want it to be 5 distinct sounds. I don't want it to be wiring it in. The other option is I could just have the last position, instead of trying to do 5 sounds, I could just make it hardwire all of them on in series as one big pickup or something like that. So it's like 1, 2, 3 or 5 sounds each. Then when you go into the 4th one, that this lever doesn't do anything type thing. There must be something. There's something in it somewhere. But as usual, I'll just wing it and see what happens. I like the idea of using the 4-position rotary again. Just there's so many different ways of wiring a guitar. I think it's so hard to explain and make it sound as simple as it is. I think that's probably why most people don't do it. But have a blast. Coiladder, which I really like the name of. That's what I should have. I should have had the pic. I made a picture up, so I should have the Coiladder picture on my screen there. That'd be better. Maybe I'll do that. It's easy to find. Nah. Okay, so I suppose I'll do demos of these guitars now. This week's been a bit mad. There's all big long videos and stuff like that. I'll try and get onto some bit more normal, just me playing guitar. We've actually played the guitar for any length of time this week. So what I'm going to do is I'll maybe leave this one to second. This is one of the ones I'm going to try and trade with someone for something. And I might do the encore, but I'm going to have to break into it and replace that volume pot. It was a bit iffy before, but then it seemed to be working again, and now it's like, if you kind of tap, it sort of intermittently cuts in, so it's just a burst pot, just a case of swapping straight over. Just like going back into that guitar again, so I had to learn how to do it, and all this stuff's all experimental, so this one was much easier to do than that one because I'd already done it in that one. So this one kind of went together. I had to wire it up, set it up, and then I had a 50-50 chance the phase was going to be right. I was wrong, but I got it right the second time. Everything seems to work okay. Rock on! Catch you later.